Hello, my name is Carolyn Anderson, and I'm an advocate at Pacer Center. I would like to share my thoughts and experiences with you from my advocacy with families at Pacer Center and for my own children with disabilities. Every parent wants to see their child be happy, healthy, and part of their community. Oftentimes, however, parents need to advocate to get their child the services they need. This webinar was developed to help parents be effective advocates for their child. While professionals have knowledge in a certain area, parents have a lifelong relationship with their child, and they are the expert on their child. What is an advocate? An advocate can be broadly defined as someone who speaks up on behalf of others to make things better. Each of you has already been an advocate. You may not have attached that label to your actions. Advocacy covers a very broad range of activities that just about everyone, in many different settings, does every day. Most of us have advocated for others. As a parent of a child with a disability, you have already had to speak on behalf of your child. You may have spoken up to a teacher, daycare worker, doctor, nurse, social worker, other parents, relatives, or friends. So it's nothing new, but it's also not easy. I just love this quote. If you think you're too small to be effective, you've never been in bed with a mosquito. Let's talk more about what it means to be an advocate. Your child needs you to advocate for him or her. No one cares about your child more than you do. But you must speak up to make sure that your child becomes as independent, productive, and happy as he or she can be. As a parent, you want your child to belong and participate in the community where he or she lives. Only you can make that happen. Nobody else can do it for you. Professionals have valuable knowledge and expertise in a specific area, yet they're only temporarily a part of your child's life. Professionals will pass in and out of your child's life, but you will always be the parent. Advocating for your child can feel both challenging and rewarding. You are the expert on your child. Professionals deal with many children, while you only have your child to think about. Your child is served best if you and the professionals can work together. The professionals are qualified by virtue of their education. You, the parent, are qualified by the virtue of your role as a parent. Your child needs you to speak on behalf of him or her because you bring insights as a parent that others do not have. Parents sometimes feel they're too shy, aggressive, busy, anxious, uninformed, emotional, or unorganized. Each person has a right to their feelings, but you don't have to let your feelings control your behavior. Ask yourself, will feeling and behaving like this help get what my child needs? Or could improving my communication skills help me advocate for my child more effectively? For example, I was a very shy person until I became the parent of a child with disabilities. And you can see on the slide here a picture of my family when my youngest son was just arriving from Korea. I decided I was going to have to speak up at meetings so my child got the services he needed. This has not been easy, as shyness is part of my basic personality. But I made a decision that speaking up on behalf of my child was important enough for me to know I needed to change. People who know me now have no idea what a shy, private person I used to be. Like most parents, I knew nothing about my child's disability. Once the disability was diagnosed, I read everything I could find and talked to everyone who seemed to know anything about it. I learned there were differing opinions on how to work with children with this disability. One method of educating and rearing a child with disability was most popular with the school system. I realized I needed to decide what I thought was the method that would work for my child, even though some members of the IEP team may not agree. After considering that method and my vision for my son, I decided that the popular method was not appropriate for him and our family. I would need to advocate for something different if I wanted my child to achieve the dreams I had for him. I decided to challenge myself to speak up when I'd rather sit back and be quiet. It wasn't easy, and it took a number of years before I was comfortable in my new role, but it was worthwhile. My son has done more than I ever envisioned. I was only the keeper of dreams until he could have his own. Advocating for your child with a disability is one of the most important jobs you'll ever have. What you do is very important and can have lifelong implications. No one understands your child like you do. You know his or her strengths, challenges, spirit, and dreams better than anyone. You have a vision for your child's future and sense of what it will take to achieve it. Your IEP team members need you to provide this information. Doing so will help the team align the IEP's goals and objectives with the vision you have for your child. You are a permanent member of the IEP team. You have more to offer and more to lose or gain. Not only do you have a unique understanding of your child, you also have a lifelong connection. Once your child grows up, the people from school will be gone. You will be left with the results. So it's important to make sure that they are the ones you and your child want. Advocating for your child over the years can help ensure that outcome. When you advocate for your child, you act in the present to make a difference for the future. You may not realize it, but every time you stand up for your child's rights and speak out for his or her needs, you are modeling an essential skill, self-advocacy. By watching you at IEP meetings and seeing how to effectively express needs and opinions, your child will have the opportunity to learn a vital skill that will be important for his or her lifetime. Parents also have a legal right to advocate for their children with disabilities. According to kidlaw.org, the IDEA, which is the federal special education law, provides for the enforcement of rights through parent advocacy. Parents have a host of procedural rights designed to empower them to obtain appropriate services for their child from the local school district. The scope of the services for any particular child is worked out in a decision-making process involving the child's parents and school staff district members, culminating in the development of an IEP for the child, which is then implemented by the school district. Parents are involved at every step of the special education process. The steps include identification that a child may have a disability, evaluation to see if the child has a disability and is eligible for special education services, placement in an appropriate special education program for eligible children, and the provision of a free appropriate public education, or FAPE, for the eligible child. The term IEP team always includes the parents. Parents are the only team members who have the authority to agree or disagree with the services and decisions made by the IEP team. Parents have the right to use all available dispute resolution options to resolve disagreements on behalf of their child. As you can see from this slide, advocacy, or speaking up for your child, is expected in the special education process. And please note that if English is a second language for you, an interpreter is required so that each side can understand the other. Interpreters are not just for the parents. Pacer's booklet, entitled Working Together, highlights many skills parents can use to be effective advocates for their children. Here are some ideas to consider. Keep the emphasis on your child. Using the following tips will help you do that. Asking questions helps parents understand the information and insights that others have to share. You can ask if the information shared is an opinion or data that has been measured. Pacer's handout, entitled Use Questions to Find Answers, and the website is on your screen there, gives helpful examples of questions you may want to ask at an IEP meeting. Or we may bring examples of how our child is at home or in the community. An example is, my child has no behaviors at Boy Scouts, no behavior problems at Boy Scouts or at home. Or, music is a strength for my child. He's recently received this award. Sometimes the easiest way to advocate is to simply share your concerns. For example, you might say, I'm concerned that my child has no friends. Or you might share that you feel the program is not working and why you feel that way. You will find it helpful to write those concerns down for yourself before a meeting. We know that doing these things is not necessarily easy, nor does it come naturally for many parents. Some parents have told us, we come from a different culture. In our native country, we're not involved in our child's education, and we're not used to talking and asking questions. Or another parent said, "It's hard to advocate for your children when we don't know what to ask for or what services are available to my children." Yet, even in these circumstances, advocating, as we have said, is very important and a worthwhile skill to develop. In the end, advocacy is all about making sure your child receives the services and education to which he or she is entitled. Your unique and valuable perspective can help the IEP team make decisions that will benefit your child now and in the future. For more information on how to advocate for your child with a disability, please contact Pacer Center and ask to talk with an advocate. We would also appreciate if you would fill out the evaluation at the end of this webinar. Thank you for listening.